everybody. Welcome back to Knit with Lovergaard's knitting podcast. My name is Louise, and this is my channel. I hope you will enjoy my content today. There's a lot of whips, just so you know. It's a whip parade. So if you guys are in for the long haul, get something to drink and get your knitting, get comfortable. So just to get started, I would say, yes, I am speaking in English again. I found it really fun. I did lose a couple of followers. Hopefully they're not too upset that I suddenly switched to English. I haven't done a mini-sode in Danish, so I don't know. Maybe sometimes in Danish, maybe sometimes in English, but for this time, it's gonna be in English anyways. And 2023 is, it's been up and down for until now. I haven't been feeling so great, but yeah, otherwise just the usual. It's like, daily routines are daily routines. But goal-wise, I did set myself some goals for 2023 knitting-wise, and that's been going really great. One of them was to use more of my stash, which I have done, and you will get to see. And another one was journaling more. So, like, writing down what my progress was with my knitting and notes on my projects and stuff. And that's been going really well. The colors have helped. This is the book I showed you last time. So the black is like live stuff and the colors is knitting stuff. And yeah, I think it's been going okay. I like that I get to, I write my whips here and I get to like cross them off when I'm done. So satisfying. So that's good. And I can note all my projects here and all the notes I have on the projects. So yeah, that's going really well. I'm happy with that. It's not like, it's still something I have to make myself do. It doesn't come naturally yet. I'm hopeful that at one point this will just be part of the process with my knitting. And that's something I have to remind myself to do. But yeah, 1 month in and I'm doing okay. So yeah, like I said, you guys, this is gonna be whip after whip, because after the holidays, because I cleared my needles almost totally before I went on Christmas break. I had finished my Christmas project, and then January set in, and I was like, I just want to cast on everything and his mom. So that's what I did. I just cast on a lot. So some of them have already been unraveled again because they just weren't right. And some of them you'll get to see. So as for FOs, not doing quite as well. I actually only have one, or possibly two, maybe, at least one to show you. And I'm thinking we'll just get into this, guys. I don't have my watch on today, and usually I can tell from my watch if the camera's still on, so I might have to break sometimes just to make sure that I'm still filming. But let's go for FO number 1. This is my lento, you guys. I was watching Rebecca from the Krigga Bear podcast, and she's doing Let's Lento Cal knit along. And I was like, I'll do that. So I cast on a lento. It's I got it at Revelry, but it's from Line magazine. And I think Rebecca's done a lot of them. But yeah, this is my first one. I knit it in one strand of mohair. And then I found 2 skeins from my stash that kind of went together. Actually, I picked another color for the bottom to begin with, but that I unraveled and went with this instead. So these are 2 indie hand-dyed skeins, and I just faded them together, like with, you know, knit one, then knit the other, knit one, then 2 of the others. Yeah, so really basic. I did a yarn over for the raglan instead of what's in the pattern, just because I wanted it to be quite, well, it's a mohair sweater, so it's not like summery, but I wanted to have a more summery feel, because this color it's a mohair, it's a sock. It's a sock base. It's like an alpaca sock. So it's from Ladybug yarn, and it's called Beach Magic. So it gave off kind of like a beachy, summery vibe. I can see me wearing this like in the evenings or at the beach if it's windy or something. And then the bottom one ended up being this lovely blue. And it actually does have some of the like pink speckles, but it's very muted. So this is merino silk base 50/50, and it's from Yarn by Sanders, and that's an old one from the stash. It is at least like 3 years old, I think. So yeah, I just knit till like I didn't have any more yarn, so I was sure to use as much as possible. So there's nothing left almost. It's very cropped, a lot more cropped than I normally go for. But with my high-waisted pants, and I do wear like high-waisted jeans and stuff, that's perfect. And then it's like 3/4 length, bracelet length sleeves, which is really nice as well for work, because then the sleeve doesn't like get in the way. I remember this time to put in a little piece of scrap yarn, just so to make sure I knew which was the back. But actually it turned out not to be necessary, because I also did some short rows. So I don't even remember if the pattern called for short rows, but maybe they did. But I did put more in, and I love it. It's so snuggly, it's so squishy. Yeah, it's really great. I didn't know about the mohair, because sometimes mohair does like itch on me, but as soon as I'm like as soon as I've like warmed the sweater up, this makes no sense, I know, but then it doesn't itch, which is really weird, because usually it's the other way around. But as long as after like 10-15 minutes, then I don't notice it at all. It's like perfectly fine. Yeah, so the next one, you guys. Oh, I forgot to tell you what I was wearing. I think I've worn this before, actually. This is my very used sweater number 14 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. It's got the V-neck. It's in some drops brushed silk alpaca, and like a recycled yarn from Smokesack Yarn. And yeah, it's like 3 years old or something. Yeah, 3 years. But still, like, it's one of my favorite, because it's the one I just grab when I'm at home and I need to be snuggly, you know. But it's like, yeah, it doesn't look good, you guys. It's worn thin, almost worn thin. So might be time to knit another one, or yeah, just say goodbye to this one, because I do have a lot of sweaters. So yeah. So you guys, I said I might have two FOs, finished objects, and that's because this one is like, yeah. So I was just on the knit along wave, you guys. I just thought, oh, a knit along, I have to join in. Yeah, so talk to lady, and oh, I don't remember what she's doing, it's still running a knit along with like a hand. Does she dye yarn? From Tasmania. They did a knit along for the Big Spite shawl. And it's a pattern by, and excuse me, I have to read this. Vera Välimäki. She's Finnish, I would guess, from the name. And it's this beautiful shawl. And it's very beautiful. And I was like, I could do with a challenge, because for some reason, when I started knitting, like one of my second or my third sweater I did in brioche, and it just went by. I had no problems, not even knitting it around, back and forth. I just did it. And for some reason, after doing that sweater, I don't know what happened, but yeah, I struggled doing brioche without making mistakes. And this shawl is like all brioche, almost. So as I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna challenge myself, because that was one of the goals for 2023 as well, to like do new techniques. So even though it's not like a new technique, it is one I haven't mastered. So I wanted to do this shawl. It's knit in merino single or soft merino, whatever you call it. And I knit it in these 3 colors. Absolutely beautiful colors. So this is, and I have a look. This is from Cami Jo Knit, and it's called Petals. And it's like a soft lilac, really gold speckled, almost orangey gold speckled. And then there's this all golden one. This is from By Imbra. And it doesn't have a name. It has a number, 2273. And these 2 are Danish hand dyers. And then I got this one for Christmas. If you remember, I bought this home from the States. It's from the Kinetic Knitter. It's called Serendipitous. And it is gorgeous. So this is like rose, slightly purple, slightly golden. And they go so well together. I was like, this is gonna make the most beautiful, calm shawl. And I really wanted to knit with these colors more for 2023. I wanted to do something more like rose. So the thing is that this shawl actually, I found out, does do better with high contrast. You can tell as well her 2 colors are very much alike. And that does mean that for my shawl as well, you almost can't tell that I'm doing it in 2 different colors, because it just seems like it's very much the same. They blend into each other. So I was really looking forward to getting to the the part where there's more of the golden color. And it is a beautiful shawl, like a beautiful shawl. I love it. And it's so soft because it's a single ply. But I messed up, you guys. Not like I did do a couple of mistakes, but I couldn't even find them if I wanted to with the brioche. But there are some. There's one where I can find this one. I don't know. There's like a stitch that ran away or something. So here you go, the highway right there. It should be, yeah. I don't know. But again, who's gonna notice when I have this on? Now, what I messed up was the stitch count. So you started at this end. I haven't sewn in any ends yet, and it's not blocked. So you start at this end and you start knitting and you increase and you increase and you increase. And I got to like here, and I was missing like 20 stitches. And I was like, well, do I rip back in brioche? Of course not. And I was like, but I'm actually okay with it not being that deep, because I usually wear my shawls at like scarves, so it didn't matter. It was actually fine if it wasn't that much fabric. But then, yeah, I just kept following the pattern, following the pattern, following the pattern, and it does look, it's too big to, like, it does look like how it's supposed to look from the drawing in the pattern. But this arm is like double the length of the other. Can you tell? And I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be, but it sure does make it kind of difficult to wear. Because if I wear it like this, wear it like straight over my shoulders, a triangle in the back, then I have this long piece hanging around. What do I do with that? I don't know. So I'm finding it kind of difficult to wear. It's not like I'm not gonna wear it, because hey, if I go like this, oh, I can't see myself, you guys, so I don't know. But it's a scarf. It's beautiful. It has lovely colors. It's very squishy. I'm happy. So of course it will get worn, but I don't know if it's looking how it's supposed to look. Well, so yeah, I actually really enjoyed knitting it. It was time consuming, but I was like knitting it and I was already in my head putting together 3 different colors for the next one. So I would definitely knit it again, and maybe this time figure out what the devil I did wrong. But the reason why I haven't sewn in any ends, and it's not like a totally finished project, is because I need to block it. And I'm kind of hoping that the blocking will fix some of the misshapen stuff as well, because I just won't block this as heavily as I block the other part, because this can block out quite a lot. But I don't own a blocking mat, you guys. Usually I just like wet block my sweaters. I just wash them and lay them out like on a table or the floor. And that works fine, because I don't usually stretch my sweaters that much, but this needs stretching. So I need a real blocking mat and needles, so that it will stick in place, like stay in place. So till my birthday is in April, and I'm kind of thinking I'll write blocking tools on my wish list for my birthday, and then this will just have to wait till then, and I will get back to you guys and show you what it will look like when I finally get it blocked. But yeah, that was my Big Spite shawl. Did I say it's a Big Spite shawl, and the cal is like Big Spite 2023, I think, maybe. Yeah. So if you can call that an FO, that was it for my FOs. I do have, I've been watching a lot of podcasts, knitting podcasts recently, because I've not been feeling so well and I've like been in bed. And a new term, like I found a new term I didn't know, that there's like foes and whips, but there's also hose. That's so good. I love it. So I do have my stripy socks still on the needles. I wasn't even going to show you guys, but I was just like, well, it's more than half done object, but that categorizes as a whole, right? I thought it was hilarious. Well, anyway, let's get into the whips, you guys, because there's a lot. Yeah. Where to start? So, one of the things I talked about last time was I was going to do the Cami Jo cardigan. I don't even remember what it's called. The diamond patterned one with like lace patterning. I was going to do that in my mega mohair that I dyed. I started it because I was going to bring it on Christmas holiday. Figured this is not going to be able for me to knit with kids running around. Did not bring it. Grabbed it when I got home. Started it again. Knit like, I don't know, 3 inches in. And I was like, it ain't going to work. Because it was the same as with the shawl I did. And it is the same pattern, just in a bigger size. For some reason, I just do not hit the same stitch count or as in the pattern. It wasn't working, and I was like, I'm not going to put myself through this again. I'll figure something else out. So I've been looking for patterns that has like a gauge that would go with the mega mohair, which was kind of difficult because either it turns into something like really chunky, which I didn't want, or it was the mega mohair was just too thick. So I had a hard time. I did find a cardigan that I still might do from Ooh La La. She did a new one, but that was again kind of in a brioche stitch, and I was like, oh, no more brioche, I've got it. So Knititude had like our birthday sale. She also hit like 100K, so she had a sale, and I was like, I really like her do you know this Wrap Me Up sweater? A lot of people have been wearing them for their weddings and stuff, and it's beautiful and not at all like the same fabric that I would get out of my yarn, but I was like, I'll give it a try. So I started, and I have not gotten that far, but you kind of start by knitting a really long cuff, and then you switch to knitting from the round to just knitting flat. So this is where I've gotten, so just like around the elbow, right? But because yeah, I've been thinking and thinking and thinking, but I do kind of like the fabric, because I was worried that it would be like too dense, kind of. I don't know. I was, does this fabric flatter the pattern? Do they really go together? But right now, guys, I'm just like committed to it. I'm gonna do it. It does itch a little bit, but I'm kind of hoping it'll be the same as with my Lento, that when I've worn it for like 10 minutes, I won't even notice, because it would be great for the summer. Like just a tank top and then this over. It's so light. So yeah, I'm hoping, you guys, that will turn out to be a successful project. I need for this yarn to be worked up into something really nice, because I took a lot of time dyeing it, and yeah, I have a lot. I do think I have more than I need for this one project, so maybe I'll still do the other cardigan, we'll see. But yeah, in the pattern calls for like size 4 millimeter needles, yeah, and then switches to 6 millimeter needles, and I've been using a lot more. Yeah, so I started on 6 millimeter needles and changed into 8. So I just went up 2 sizes. So that's a US 6 I started on, no, 8, and went up to a US 10. So of course the stitches are larger than in her sample. She's using a totally different yarn. But I'm still excited to see how it's gonna turn out. The thing is, the mohair, it kind of sheds. Not a lot, but too much for me to knit it in bed. And because I've been in bed so much, I haven't gotten that far. So this is just this is in front of the TV in the living room knitting. And I've just not been spending too much time there. So yeah. Next whip was my, the saga of the green sweater continues. I think I talked about it last time that I scrapped the idea of the yarn I had gotten. Oh, I was waiting for some mohair I had purchased to do the stripes with, but it didn't look good. Nah, didn't work. And then I ended up going back to the store where I bought the yarn that I was gonna do the stripes in, and bought another cone in the same yarn, because I was like, okay, this yarn, the gauge I get with this yarn, the fabric I get just doesn't match any other fabric, so it needs to be the same yarn but in 2 different colors. I'm talking about the Marseille sweater, of course, you guys, sorry, by Petite Knit, which is what I ended up wanting to do. I do have the pattern here. Sorry for the cracking. So that one is what I ended up doing. And hey again. So I bought a larger cone of the same type of yarn in a different color, because the other cone I had with the yarn I was already using is like half the size of this one, but they only had this one in this size. So I got home and I was like, they don't go together. Yeah, they were both green, but they were like very different shades, like green, but not in the same family. So yeah, the other green was like kind of mint, but with a blue tone, and this is very like woodsy green. And I really like this one. So I ended up like unraveling a lot of yarn from the other cone, the minty one, and dyeing it as well as I could, because again, this is not 100% wool. It's like alpaca acrylic, and acrylic not always as easy to dye, but I tried to dye brown color, and it ended up being like, it's brown. You can still tell there's like a green hint in the brown, but it's definitely better suited to this one than the original one was. So I was like, yay, okay, now I am going to get going on my green sweater. And I have gotten quite far, you guys. I'm at like stripe number 2 out of 4. You can tell, and now there's just not that much contrast between the colors. In this light, like when I'm looking at it, it's fine. You can tell it's stripes, but in the dark, you cannot tell the difference at all. It's just like one color sweater, which is fine. It's still gonna be a great sweater, you guys. I just know it. At one point, I will be finished with it. It does take a while to knit, because the bubbly, you can see this yarn is so like the halo on it, so your needle keeps getting like stuck between the thread, so I have to like knit every stitch really carefully to make sure I get all the yarn through. So it does take like a little longer than usual, but I'm like fine with it. This is just gonna be my ongoing project for 2023. This can take a while. So usually I don't like the acrylic yarns and I go for the 100% wool, but this is just how it turned out, you guys. And I have to say, this is so light, but still so like squishy, thick. It is very oversized. I did do it very oversized on purpose because I just wanted it to be something I could snuggle into, and it does have that feel. So once this is done, I do foresee it being something that I'll wear all the time, like around the house. So I end up being like super, super happy with this sweater. And it's not that expensive, this yarn either. So yeah, I can't wait to see it when it's done. But that might be like an end of the year thing. So yeah, that was the saga of the green sweater, which turned into a totally different sweater. And I do have a plan for the other green yarn, but we'll get to that. So you guys, next whip is my porcelain sweater by Lene Holm Samsø. This pattern was one of the patterns I really was excited to get started in 2023. Couldn't wait to get it on the needles. And yeah, I kind of stalled on it. But yeah, I am knitting it in Drops Lima, which is like, it is 65% wool, 35% alpaca. So it does have this really great halo. I'm knitting it in these two colors, which is like an off-white. It's called Kit. And this is like a petroleum blue. And I love this color because it's so deep. And it does have like a little bit of a marled effect when you see the skein or the ball. It's like green and brown. No, not brown. Blue. Green and blue. But as you can see, guys, it ended up being, when you see it knitted up, a lot like this one. And I didn't want it to be too much like the original, but it just ended up that way anyways. So just all this thread. Can you tell, you guys? It just looks exactly like it, except for the fact that, well, if you are a regular viewer, you will know that I just can't stick to a pattern. Yeah, so I was so excited about this sweater. I was like, I'm going to do this exactly how it is on the page. And I got to the point where I was going to knit the second border. And I was like, I don't like the etching on this one. I actually like the etching on border number 3 better. I was like, well, that's an easy fix. So I'll just use the border for, that's like, this part was supposed to be down here. And I'll do the leafy kind of pattern. So then I was like, but what about border number 3? And I was like, I don't like border number 3 at all. Because that was supposed to be like these, I don't know, you wouldn't call them stars, but like squares. So I just repeated the first border as the third border. And I really like it. But more and more, this is not the porcelain sweater anymore. This is my take on it. So I haven't finished the body because it's on a barber wire, like a mask holding stitch holder. There you go. Because I just wanted to knit the sleeves and the neckline before finishing the body, because then I could just knit it as long as I was able to with the yarn I have. But I did finish this sleeve. As you can tell, you only need 2 rows or 2 borders of the patterning. And you can tell that I'm like a much looser gauge here, which is annoying me, but hopefully that will block out somewhat. Again, I'm gonna need the blocking tools. And then I finished my sleeves with a blue edging, which I really love, and I'm gonna do that for the neckline and the hem as well. So yeah, I'm still excited about it, but I've just been stumbling a bit. So again, if I had been a good little knitter, I would have read through the entire pattern and just found out, okay, how is this knit up? How's it made? Because you start by knitting the back panel, and then you knit the front panel, and then you put them together and knit them in the round. And I am so bad at sewing. So when you do it like that, instead of, normally these patterns, they do like a provisional cast on, so you could just, like with the Marseille sweater, you pick up the stitches for the shoulders. Here you had to pick up the stitches for the shoulder instead of having live stitches. You had to like start again, cast on new stitches, and then sew them together. And I'm so bad at it. Can you tell, you guys? It's so uneven, like so uneven. And it went better with that shoulder. This one is just awful. Can you tell? Can you tell how uneven it is? It's like all wiggly. And here, see that chop? It's so bad. And I'm like, I'm not gonna rip it out. I'm not gonna sew it again because I can't do it any better. But it does bother me. And I'm hoping, again, with the blocking, the yarn will hopefully bloom a little more, and then you won't be able to tell. And when you have it on, who's really looking here anyways with these beautiful patterning? But yeah, I think that's that's maybe why I kind of stalled on it a little bit. And also, even though it's only 2-stranded color work, I do have to pay attention to the charts. And with the kids around, yeah, it does make it easy. So I've only been able to knit on them for like, because I only light. So I've only been able to knit on it for like a couple of hours during the weekends. So this is like my weekend knit, and it's just taking a bit more time than I wanted it to, because I really wanted to be able to wear it this season. But hey, life is life, and it's definitely going to be a nice warm sweater, maybe just for the fall instead. Who knows? Maybe I'll get a boost of energy and get it done. I do think it's beautiful, the patterns, yeah. So I do want it done. I want to wear it, but let's see. Just gonna pack it away. The yarn is the same yarn that I used for my Christmas sweater, so I felt quite confident that it would fit gauge. And I'm using a size 3.5, right? 3.5 millimeter needles throughout, so I'm not changing needle size for the ribbing or the patterning, because my gauge was the same. But what size is that in US 5? I think it's a US 5. But yeah, that's gotta get done. I might have to prioritize it at some point, so I know I will have it finished by like April, because it's still kind of cold in April. I could wear it in April. Great. Okay, you guys. Next whip. So next whip was like out of the blue. The thing is, this is gonna be a long story. Settle in, you guys. So was it December? I think maybe the Danish podcaster Karina Strik med Brix, she did a post on Instagram where she was like, if you're interested in setting up like a online knitting group, like write a comment on this post, like which evenings would you be able to do it, at what time, and then she set people up. She just made groups. And I was like, I don't have that many friends who knit. Not any, actually. So I was really into that. And there's been a lot in the Danish knitting community about reaching out, how if you don't feel like you're a part of it, you have to like make an effort yourself. So I was like, this could be my very small effort, just write my name underneath this post. But she put me together with 3 other knitters. They're all in Jutland, so they're quite far away from me, but that's the beauty of doing an online knitting group, so you don't have to be close to each other. We have met every Monday for the last month, and it's been great. It's so much fun, and we don't only talk about knitting, but just the freedom of being able to talk yarn and knitting and not be like, okay, I am bored. Is wonderful, and we've been like texting, DMing a lot in between our Mondays, just like, so what do you think about this one, and blah blah blah. So we try to have like homework for every week. The first couple of weeks were like, we have to have this sweater done, or we had to knit this or something. But we had last week, the homework for last week was like, we wanted a name for the group, and we wanted to find a pattern for a sweater we could all knit that would be like our knit along, or our group sweater. So we we decided to call our group De Lange Masker, which in Danish is really funny, but makes no sense in English. The long stitches. And we decided on a pattern. So the pattern is called, I guess you know it. I'll just find a picture here. It's called White Mountains, and it's by Midori Hirose. Midori Hirose, I don't know. It sounds Japanese to me, but hey, what do I know? And this pattern is so cool because it comes in like 4 different variations. So we are 4 people in the group. The other 3 are doing this version, and I decided on doing, I don't know if you can see because it's so dark, but this, the man in the sweater, I wanted to do that version. And I wanted it, one of the things I wanted for 2023 was to knit in tweed. So I got myself some tweed yarn. And you guys, this is how much I knit in 2 days. It's crazy. So it is quite chunky. It is on a size 6mm needles for the body. That's size 8 needles. And it is in this Tweed Delight by Hobby. And you know, I don't like the Hobby yarn, but it was on sale. And because this was an unplanned knit that we decided to do in the group, I didn't want to spend that much money. So it is like, I found the yarn with the most natural wool content I could. So this has 85% wool, only 5% viscose, which I think is why it's kind of shiny, and then 10% acrylic. And the acrylic is basically the black bits for the tweedy effect. I do like how the overall look of it is. I love how this pattern is written for the raglan shaping, because it's very different from anything I've done before. You can probably tell better if I do like this. You can see the increases start all the way here from the neckline. So it has sort of a reversed V. And I think it's going to be a really good fit. It does have quite a deep raglan, but it's the same as this one, so that's fine. But I decided to do exactly what the pattern said for the sleeves, even though I was like, you shouldn't do any decreases. Because I like my sleeves very full and loose. And this is almost a fitted, it is a fitted sleeve. And I don't know if I like that with a bulky sweater. But I did it, and I did it quite long. So it goes like all the way to the middle of my hands. And hopefully, I don't know, of course I didn't swatch. No. I'm kind of excited to see how this fabric is going to do in the wash, like with the blocking and everything, because it does have quite like a drops air feel, like a blow yarn, but it's not a blow yarn. It's like just single ply. I'm kind of afraid it will stretch a lot. We'll have to see. But I hope it gets a little bit softer. It's not that it's not soft, but it does kind of have that squeaky feel, which I hate. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how it's gonna act with a wash. So I have 3 balls left, and I'm thinking I'll just keep knitting. And it will be a long sweater. I don't want it to be a dress, so let's see. But yeah, I really want to use up the yarn. So that's a White Mountain sweater, and it's like almost done. I might even be finished today if I get my act together. So yeah, another whip for you guys, and that was not one I've talked about before, but I really like the pattern. I like it. I might do it again because I like the raglan, and I think it would be easy to like accommodate to how I wanted it. If I wanted a totally fitted sweater or a way more oversized one, I could work with that pattern. It would be so easy to like modify it, do stripes, do a pattern, do like color work, do anything. Yeah. So you guys, we're down to the last whip, and of course it is my February socks from a Lonely Sock Lady. So I'm still doing her knit along for 2023. So a pair of her striped socks every month for 2023, and these are my February socks. Can you tell, you guys? I've can't really say I've used a pattern, but I did do the basic ribbed socks by Knitty Melissa. I found it on Ravelry because I am knitting them top down, but I'm knitting them 2 at a time. So they're on one long circular needle. I think it's an 80-inch Chagu needle, size 1.5 to 25 millimeter. Yeah, and this is my first time doing socks 2 at a time. I love it, you guys. I don't think it's difficult at all. I really like it. The only thing is I do feel like my tension's a bit off. Like I knit a bit tighter. So the gauge is different from the last socks I knitted. So I've tried them on, they fit, but they do sit really snugly. But I like my socks snug, so that might work. Still doing the heel flap gusset. And instead of doing like one colored rib and heel and toe, I decided to just continue the pattern, the ribbed pattern, which is just 3 knit 1 purl, and then do 3, like, can you tell these stripes are only like 3 or 4 rows, where the stripes from the self-striping yarn, it's like 6 rows. So these are a teensy bit thinner. And then I'm thinking I'll do 3 stripes again on the foot when I get that far. And then the toes are just going to be in the self-striping yarn, which is kind of, I think it's Kay Litton, Crazy Sock Lady, is doing something quite similar. So I'm stealing from her the idea. Another person I'm stealing from, I can't really say I'm stealing, is Taylor Owen from Hands Needles Wool Yarn podcast. I can't remember. But she did a video on a vlog on knitting 2 at a time. And she had this sort of bag. If you've been a follower for a while, you will know that I have a mother-in-law who sews the most beautiful bags, and I got her to sew this bag for me, especially for knitting 2 socks at a time. So it's just like a small regular drawstring bag, but it does have this sectioner, so it's like divided into 2 pockets, or 2 holes. It has a zip, so I can keep my stitch wires or markers in there. And then there's not that much yarn yet left, but as you can tell, I have both the main color striped yarn and the contrast color in one section, and then the same in the other section. So I started when I was caking up my yarn. I did 2 exactly the same size. I weighed them on my new mini scale to make sure that I had the same amount of yarn for each hole. And then when I knit, this is so difficult to show you. You can tell there's like 1 strand coming out of each of the holes. So when I turn my needles, so I'm knitting along here, just like knit, because of this magic loop. When I turn my work, I also turn my bag, and that way the strands, they don't get tangled. It's such a great idea. So yeah, it's working really well. And I think I could have been done with these, but I wanted to show you guys before I was finished. But I have to get them finished now because they need to be done before February ends, and it's only 28 days, in this month, guys, So I have to hurry up. But my I keep getting sidetracked. First it was a Lento, which like took a week to knit, and then it was White Mountains one. So yeah, I get distracted easily. But when I'm done with the White Mountains sweater, I'm definitely gonna prioritize the socks, and then it should be the porcelain sweater. Don't hold me up to it, guys, but that's what I'm thinking anyways. So just have to check my notes to make sure I have it all. I think I do. Well, remember, guys, if you have any questions about anything, yarn or patterns or sizing or anything, just ask below and I'll promise to get back to you. Yeah, guys, so that was it for the whips. I think that was quite a lot because these are active whips. So they're right next to me, right next to my bed at the moment. All the time. It's not something I pack away in a cupboard or something. Nope, they're ongoing right now. So I'm not allowed to cast on anything new till at least 2 of these are done. I'm just saying. That you can hold me to. So, yeah, here's hoping. But let's get into the dream knitting, the next on my needles part. I don't have that much because I do have a lot of whips to get done. So I probably I'm better off not dreaming too much because yeah, I'll just get out of hand. But I am thinking these are some of the patterns I've talked about before, but I know it's like it's the next thing on my needles that I wanted to start is my Birds of a Feather by Andrea Maury. She had a birthday discount, or was it like a subscriber discount or something? She had a discount anyway. So I got two of her patterns, and one of them was Birds of a Feather, which has been on my wish list for a long time. And I figured now, being done with the big spite, I would be allowed to cast on a new shawl. So that's definitely next on the needles. Birds of a Feather by Andrea Maury. And that pattern is actually, I think it's from 2016, something like that. And there's a knit along going, yes, a knit along in Denmark by a podcast called De Løse Ender, which is called Oldies with De Løse Ender, where you have to knit a pattern that's older than 2018. So that's going to be my project for that knit along. And then I have to figure out which summer top I want to knit for the knit along Vertop Beredt, which is starting March 1st. I still haven't settled on a pattern yet because I was trying to find a pattern that was older than 2018, but I just couldn't find any I wanted. I might cast on a Cumulus top. No, not Cumulus. Cumulus T by Petite Knit. That was one of the things I was thinking about. Also, I did buy a Joji Locatelli pattern for like a tank top last year that I didn't have time to knit, which I would like to knit. And yeah, I still haven't settled on a pattern, you guys, but I have to figure out which summer top I want to cast on. And then I was watching Cody, is it Katie Jacks, or is it, I don't know, a podcast? And Jackie Rose from that podcast just came out with a new pattern. It's like a free pattern on Ravelry, and it's called the Saturday Shrug. And it's like, it's almost a cowl, but it's a cowl for your upper body. So it's like a really big tube. And I have stash yarn that would fit that pattern really well, I think. And it's on really big needles. And I'm lining that up for like a palette cleanser when I'm done with the porcelain sweater. Because I just know I will want to knit something on some big needles that doesn't take any brain power. So it's just like 1x1 rib, almost just a tube. It does look like it has some decreases, but it looks so like cozy. So I want one, and it would be perfect for work because sometimes when I wear like scarves or shawls, my neck starts hurting because it's like being stretched or something, I don't know. So this shrug, it still warms like my body and my neck, but it's not tight fitting around my neck. So that might be perfect for the office. That is another knit to come. Yeah, and that's basically it, guys. Because like I was saying, I just have so much on my needles that I just haven't been thinking about new patterns at all, almost. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting to see what else is on my needles. I'm still planning to do my Lazy Boxy by Hoagie Locatelli as well. That is not forgotten at all. I just have to dye the yarn for it. So yeah, no new dyeing for this month. I've been planning a lot. I've been writing a lot of ideas down, but I haven't been doing any dyeing, mostly because I need to get some new yarns as well, because it's very specific, the ideas I have. So yeah, I haven't purchased any undyed yarn, but that doesn't mean I haven't done any purchases. So let's move on to the next segment, you guys, which is purchases. And yeah, if that's not your jam, you're welcome to move along. But if you want to watch, stay tuned. So, just picking these things. First of all, I got this, which is a Burt's Bees hand salve. And you guys probably know it. It's like, what's it called? From the bees. Yeah, whatever. But it smells so great. It's like, yeah, pepperminty. And it's just, I really wanted one for my knitting basket, which wasn't a cream. Because I don't like if it's too runny when I have to knit. So this, it's especially for my cuticles are so ugly. This is great. I love it. So this is in my knitting basket, and I put it on a lot. That was a great purchase, and I did buy other stuff. So just have to get this open. I packed it in a box so I would remember. I got this set of mini skeins from Birkefiber, which is a Danish hand dyer. It's like a Valentine's bouquet. Sometimes I think I buy stuff just because she's like, there's a limited amount. And then I'm like, oh, I need to have it. Because if I really thought about it, mini skeins, because this is like 10 grams. Don't need that. I have a lot left from my advent calendar. And yeah. But you guys, the saga of the green sweater, which turned out to be a different kind of sweater that was still green, but didn't use up all the green dropped flora I had, is now, you could call this stream knitting as well. I'm turning it into a blanket. My first ever blanket knit. I'm thinking of doing the northeasterly blanket, where it's like small arrow kind of, yeah. And I wanted to do it in like holding two fingering strands together, kind of. And it's gonna be green. So I'm thinking these two are going to go in my blanket basket. I've just put all my green yarn in one basket so I can just draw from that. And yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with the other ones, but maybe my daughter will want some stripes. I could use them in some stripes. I'm thinking of putting the red in her socks. I'm still not done with her socks because I ran out of yarn. So yeah, that might be what's happening. Then I got my February yarn club from Knit by Moltrup, and it is gorgeous. It is so beautiful, you guys. I was like, orange? And oh, not that I don't like orange, but I don't actually wear it that often. But this main color is amazing. It's so amazing. And actually one of the girls from my knitting group is doing her sweater in this yarn. I'm so jealous. But yeah, the plan for these are still to collect the whole year and see them together. So this is not getting knit up anytime soon. Then I got the February Yarn Club from A Lonely Sock Lady, which is a self-striping yarn. It is this gorgeous Rose Garden, it's called. And I am thinking this might be March's striped socks, maybe. But she did have us another update for her shop. And I got these two as well. So this one is a Valentine's one. It's called Valentine Bouquet. And I don't know, you guys. And then I got this one, which is the most beautiful, like, muted colors. I do think it's very like the socks I'm knitting right now. Just hold them up, if you can tell. It's very much the same colors, just without the gold one. And then the purple, or is more blue in this one. But this is named for Strikker Romantik, which is another YouTuber, Danish YouTuber. So she's a podcast. So I had to have it because she's so sweet. I love her. So I wanted her colors as well. But this might be a summer one. I'm thinking this might be like June. And this is kind of Easter. So maybe I'll save this one for April. And then I'll do this in March. Isn't it beautiful? I can't wait. Can't wait. So then I got this one from Uldne Lykkepiller, which is another Danish indie hand dyer. And this is 70% merino, 30% alpaca, but it's like a thin, it's not even light fingering. It's thinner than that. It's 500 meters per 100 grams, and I don't know what that is in yards, but this is called Mint. And the reason I got this is because I'm going to put this in my Birds of a Feather shawl instead of the mohair, because I'm a bit over the mohair. I've never been a huge fan, and yeah, it does scratch a little bit. So I'm gonna switch it out for this one. So it's a bit thicker than a lace weight, but I think it's gonna work out. And because it has alpaca, it still has some halo. Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see it. And the yarns I'm pairing it with are like a lot darker. I'm thinking of maybe even using 2 different colors. Yeah, I'm definitely going to use 2 different colors. So just wait and see when I get that on my needles. It's going to be great. And then I got really into the blanket idea, you guys, because I was like, why have I never knitted a blanket? I need a blanket. Remember, I haven't even started yet. So yeah, but I got this yarn, which is the February Yarn Club from Lovergaard. I got the January one. I loved it. I've already purchased the March one, which I of course haven't seen. And this color is gorgeous. It's so deep, so rich. It's like an olive. Oh, it's gorgeous. But it's not me. It doesn't really go with my skin tone, and yeah. So this might go into the blanket as well because it's green. But then I was like, but then I have the January and I have the March coming. Maybe I should do the same with this yarn club as with the sock sets. Just save them for the whole year and see. I was not supposed to buy all of these, so it's not in the plans that I'm going to buy the whole year. So why this thought has come into my head that I need to save this yarn, I don't know. So this is going to go into the blanket basket because it's green and it should be used in the blanket, but it might not be the first yarn I pull out because I might change my mind. And because I was unsure, I bought this one. So this is also from Uldne Lykkepiller. And this is just a sock yarn. It's a merino nylon blend. And this is green. Isn't it great? It's called like it's called Cought, but a snap pea kind of. And it's gorgeous. Isn't it cute? It's like such a happy color. I love it. And this will go perfectly with the blanket. But yeah. Oh, I love it. And it's so soft. This is definitely going in the blanket. It's for the blanket. So that's for sure. But then I have to have a thread going through all the different colors because I was going to hold like this fingering size with another thread. And my first thought was that I wanted to use the Holst Super Soft. So I got a tiny ball, like cake, from Holst because I wanted to feel it. This is 100% wool, and it is, yeah, it's more like this one in weight. It's like almost 500. So it's thinner than a fingering weight, but it's supposed to bloom a lot when you wash it. And then I would do it in like a light gray or dark gray, something like that. So it wouldn't be a green as well. I was even thinking about doing a blue or something. But I think I'm going to stick with a white or a light gray. I like this color. But the reason I wanted to get one to see how it was in real life is because I have heard that it has a lot of spinning oils in it when you get it. And you can get it in cones. And I really wanted a cone for my second thread. And I can smell it, you guys. I can smell the spinning oil. And just holding it in my hands, I can tell that I can't knit with this. Because, yeah, I will get a rash. I just know it. So, this is not going to work. Someone told me that what they do is they get it home in balls and then they wash it because the spinning oil will leave it, will like be washed out. So it's not like a huge problem. So they just wash the balls before they knit with them. But I really wanted a cone. So yeah, I think this idea is just not going to work. But I did also order this Coast from Holst as well. This is the color Peach, by the way. Not a color I'm going to use in the blanket, but I wanted to see how this feels. This is 55% lamb's wool, 45% cotton. So it has a cotton content, which means even though it does smell a little bit of spinning oil as well, it's not as bad. And it doesn't feel like I'm going to get a rash. This is almost the same yardage. It's 350 meters per 50 grams, 383 yards. So it would do really well as another thread, even though it is quite thin. But I'm just... And a cotton content in the blanket is not a bad thing because it's still going to be mainly wool, so it's going to be warm enough. But I don't know. I just don't know, you guys. So the blanket is not getting on the needles anytime soon because I just have to figure out what to do with my second thread. And maybe I'll just end up holding the merino threads double. But I really wanted to have one color like throughout the blankets to make sure they're more like cohesive. So let me know, you guys, do you have like a perfect thread to use as a second thread? Or what's your ideas for a perfect blanket? I know I don't want to knit it in only one strand of fingering weight because it'll just take forever. So yeah, that's not in the plans. But yeah, let me know, you guys, what you say. What do you have of ideas for my blanket? Have you knit your own blankets? And then do you have anything to recommend? So please comment below. Please like and subscribe. I would love to have you visit me again. And thank you so much for staying tuned for this very long video. I feel like I've talked for hours. But yeah, this has been great. Thanks for spending time with me, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!